You don't usually feel the loss of something immaterial immediately. It's easy to notice the disappearance of your wallet, keys, umbrella, or your life savings if they've been eaten up by inflation. It's much harder to catch the moment when love goes away. You live together for a dozen years, raise kids, and neither of you wakes up in the morning with a strong feeling of not loving the other person anymore. The understanding comes accidentally, when you're cutting vegetables in the kitchen, checking your car engine, or reading a book. You turn another page, and a simple and mundane thought appears in your head. The love is gone. Its flowers withered. And even the garden is old and full of weeds. But don't we gain new feelings the same way? Of course, love at first sight also exists, but that wasn't my case. I was holding Catherine's hand in mine, trying not to squeeze it too tightly, but still afraid to let go. Could I think that we loved each other again? Yeah? Is that not what the whole moment was about? The fact that even Catherine said, "You love me, I love you." You know, pretty much saying, hey, this whole love thing's being reciprocated, alright? There's definitely a love between us, and you're like, do we love each other? Like, sir? I guess I never stopped loving her. But what did Catherine herself think? Like I said, I'm pretty sure she already voiced what she thinks. We were taking the long way, as if trying to stay in public a bit longer. And if before Kati used to avoid showing affection openly, now... But night was descending on Tokyo. Walking down empty streets in darkness would be a stupid idea. We finally returned home, where on the porch Himitsu was waiting for us. Uh-oh. See, I knew it. I knew there was going to be a problem. Like, I didn't know what the problem was going to be. I knew there was going to be an issue. They were going to get home, and there was going to be an issue. I knew it. Where are we going with this? I don't like that fucking smug ass look. I love Himitsu's smug face, and I can't lie. This little smile she's giving me, it's making me smile because I love the look of the face, but also it makes me really uncomfortable, really fucking nervous. Catherine immediately let go of my hand. I see you two are on a date. Why were though? Maybe there's still more to come. The nights are getting longer. More time for... What do you need? I interrupted her coldly. Just wanted to congratulate you like a good neighbor, Nikko-kun, since we aren't friends anymore. But you aren't about to move anywhere, so we're still neighbors. What exactly did you want to congratulate him for? Himitsu glared, but didn't respond to her, continuing to talk to me. Why move anywhere at all? You've got a good spacious house here, just the right fit for a big family. When can I congratulate the two of you on a little bundle of joy? I felt Catherine recoil, and I turned my head as she shrank into herself as if from the cold. I was thinking there might be something to do with that. Like, not that she's pregnant now, that maybe in all their mass amounts of fucking in the past that, a little bundle of joy managed to slip through. And, like, when she said, like, if I told you everything, you'd hate me. Like, if she said, like, I aborted your child or something, like, especially in the 80s, oh, God. Like, nowadays, it's still got, like, a heavy hand to it, but, like, whew. I felt there was something there. And don't even argue. I want to be the godmother. Himitsu laughed, and the laughter seemed to resonate with me, with a dull vibration, as if something was punching my chest. Real pity that the first one didn't work out. Himitsu, you bitch. Oh, you bitch. She suddenly changed her tone to pretend condolences. Enough. Catherine exploded next to me. Everything has a limit. I understand if you want revenge, but what would it get you in the end? Have you thought about Nick? Oh, revenge. What a harsh word. And such an important one, too. No, why would I want revenge? Nikko-kun let me know very clearly this morning that I'm nobody to him. I just want to tell the truth, so that both of you can go forth hand in hand, not hiding anything from each other. Quiet. Shut up, Nick. Shut up. Nick, don't listen to her. Let's go. Catherine completely lost control of herself, grabbed me by the hand, and tried to pull me away. I didn't move a bit. My intuition told me that Himitsu wasn't just trying to make me angry. It actually had something important to say. Nick, please, Katya begged. Her tearful eyes were filled with plea so strong, I even hesitated for a moment. Was I really so important to hear what Himitsu had to say? So before you two leave, I'm sure Catherine hasn't told you she's been pregnant once already? Katya's hands grew weak and hung limply in mine. She lowered her head and seemed to wilt. Oh, the child was yours, of course. I'm not about to accuse her of something not true. Except... Himitsu's face distorted into an expression that all at once was a mix of fury, hatred, joy, and the spicy aftertaste of revenge taken taken that beings no relief. Beings? I think you mean brings. I think that's the word you're looking for. Except why don't I see him with you now? She looked at Catherine for the first time. Did you leave him in the U.S.? Or... Oh, I'm obviously sticking my nose in other people's business. Perhaps precisely because it's none of my business anymore. She laughed and stood up from the porch. I think you two have something to discuss. Himitsu walked by, and it felt as if a weight of cold air surrounded her. I couldn't believe that was the same girl from the house across the road I'd known my entire life. Catherine remained quiet. Couldn't feel her presence at all, as if it was a mannequin next to me. That's some bullshit she came up with. I forced out, trying to turn it all into a joke. Catherine? Pregnant? But how? Oh, I don't know. It's not like y'all are fucking every day. When? I can't even imagine something like that could have happened. Although, if I looked at the situation from a different angle. So it's true? I asked in a stranger's voice. Catherine didn't respond. That's why you left then? And that letter? What was in it? I regretted not figuring out where it had disappeared to. Katya, please say something. I could physically feel the panic taking over. From the very pit of my stomach, anxiety was rising, trying to burst to the surface, turning to a visceral animal fear, a desire to run away and hide. But there was nowhere to run. A child? Katya, damn it, Catherine, was there a child or not? Hot take? Doesn't matter. I know Nikolai's not going to see it that way. But, I don't want to get political here or anything, being an American myself, but, I'm pretty sure it's Catherine's body to do with as she pleases. So, it doesn't matter. If she decided, hey, I'm a fucking teenager, I am in no way fit to raise a kid, I don't... Oh, is that why... Ooh. Is that why she made the move to the U.S.? Because... I mean... I'm trying to think, like, abortion in the 80s. Like, already here in the modern day, in the States, it's a pretty hot topic. And especially recently. But in the 80s, like, it would have been even more frowned upon, for sure. I don't know if that necessarily means is the reason she went to the States. But yeah, I could definitely see why that's a reason why she'd... Anyway. It was as if she really had turned into a wax statue. I shook her by the shoulders lightly. Don't touch me. Please. Tell me the truth. Then I realized I was shouting, swearing at her in a mix of Russian and English, baring my teeth and spitting saliva all over the place. I wasn't likely to help get an answer from her. Sorry. I tried to calm down and took a step back. You need to understand what I'm feeling. Even if it's true, I still love you. My voice sounded fake even to myself. There wasn't a single chance that Catherine would believe me. Although her silence was itself an answer. The answer that I wouldn't be able to bear. Yeah, okay. Why the fuck do you care, bud? I understand, like, you want to know, like, the reasons behind why she left, and if this was... And, like, maybe being upset as to why this could be the reason she left, maybe. But, like, why do you care if she aborted the child? What were you going to do? You yourself point out how often you're a fucking good for nothing. About you don't have any fucking potential in life, about you're not gonna really go far in life after you graduate. He himself points this out all the time. How good of a fucking dad did you expect yourself to be at 16? Did you think that having a child would turn everything around? And why would you fucking want to raise a kid that the mother herself doesn't want? Doesn't feel fit to raise? Could you even fucking handle that? Like, oh, that's the thing. I just don't understand. Why the fuck are you getting upset? Why the fuck? Like, even when he talks about it, you never hear him mention, like, even when he talks about his relationship with Catherine now, you never hear him think about, like, oh, one day when we're married with kids. You never hear the, like, kids conversation brought up. You never really hear him talk about that, honestly, about how he'd like to be a dad one day. You never hear him talk about, like, he longs to be a parent one day. that one day he wanted to raise beautiful children with Catherine. It was one of his dreams. You never hear anything like that. If that had been the case, okay, I can understand a little bit of anger coming off him. But, like, you never even hear anything about that. So, okay, she got pregnant and terminated it. Okay. Do I see that as, like, okay, is that the only reason she left the States? I don't think so. I could see that playing into it. I could see that playing into why she broke it off with Nikolai. I could see that. And like I said, this is exactly what I had expected. When she said, like, if I told you the whole truth, you'd hate me. This is the exact twist I expected. Was that she got pregnant with this kid and aborted it. I wasn't expecting Himitsu, of all people, to drop the bomb like that out of fucking nowhere. But exactly what I expected. Exactly what I expected. But, like, yeah, no, I don't understand Homie's reaction to this at all. Like, at all. Is he going to make some kind of argument like, oh, this was our kid. We should have made this decision together as a couple. Is that what he's going to go with, huh? Is that the fucking bullshit excuse he's going to make? Because, yeah, no, don't come at me with that argument. I don't fuck with that argument at all. Alright? Once again, I'll keep it simple. Woman's choice, woman's body, woman's choice. Alright? So like, I don't care what the male parent is thinking, alright? Male parent ain't the one who has to who has to fucking carry the child with him for 9 months. Male parent ain't the one who's got to push it out. Male parent ain't the one who's got to suffer with the childbearing process. I mean, they help make it, sure. It's totally on the female parent if they want to have a kid. Alright? And if the couple discusses having kids beforehand, alright. Then, you know, maybe the male parents got a little bit of an argument. They're like, hey, we've talked about this. We said we always wanted kids. Why would you do this? Like, okay, there's an argument to be had there. Still her choice. But, like, when y'all are teenagers, just idiot kids, and you're going to get upset over that? Nah, you stupid. You'd be like, you terminated our baby. We could have had a family. It's like, would it really be a loving family though? When the mother herself if the mother herself doesn't want to have the kid, is it really a loving family though? Fuck out of here with that shit. I'm getting too heated. See, they brought up a very big issue that a lot of people have strong opinions on. I, of course, as you can tell, I'm one of those people, and it's a topic I'd kind of like to get off of because I'm sure it's a very divisive topic. But also, if you are on the other side of my opinion, go fuck yourself. Anyway. Although her silence... Oh yeah, I already did that. So it's true. I can't... Now... Finally, Catherine muttered quietly and stumbled away from the yard like a drunkard. I followed her on autopilot, but after walking out into the street, I stopped and watched her back, until Katya disappeared in the twilight of Tokyo's night. The empty, cold, and dark house greeted me with grave silence. I could still hear Himitsu's laughter in my head, her smirk flashing in front of my eyes, and I could feel myself burning. Probably a fever. Can you get ill because of too much nervous tension? Or die? The frozen picture of the kitchen in the night glitched, and I felt as if I was being sucked underground. I barely got to bed and fell onto it, not feeling the impact. If I died here and now, it'd take some time to find the body. Himitsu wouldn't come anymore, and Catherine... God damn. Like I said, about what I was expecting, but fuck, the way that news came out was not what I was expecting. That's the big twist there. I most likely had nightmares, but they were forgotten as soon as I opened my eyes. That happens. You fall asleep delirious, fighting off demons and losing your mind. But all the horrors then vanish from memory without a trace, like pre-drawn mist in the first rays of sun. I felt disgusting, sick and powerless. The clock was saying 9 a.m. With effort, I managed to get up, wash my face, brush my teeth, and cook breakfast. I ate it and returned to my room. And only then realized that the rest of the day All 15 or however many hours would be a pointless interval between one nightmare and the next. Of course I wanted to know the truth, but at the same time I was too scared of it. Though things were pretty obvious as it was, by convincing myself that Catherine hadn't given a straight answer, and therefore it was too early to draw conclusions, I was just turning a blind eye to the facts. Himitsu couldn't have come up with such a terrible lie herself. Catherine's reaction made it clear that it wasn't a lie at all. However, I couldn't sort out my own feelings. Catherine had been pregnant? It means that we could have had a child. Yeah, you think you would have been fucking fit to take care of it? You think, these teenagers who had been, we've been in love for a year, all of a sudden are gonna fucking man up and have the best fucking family there was? Ooh, okay, but counterpoint, what if it wasn't Catherine who made that decision? Now I'm starting to connect a few dots. Maybe Katya was about it. Maybe she was about having children, starting a family. Maybe. But like she said, her mother being very controlling. Now I'm starting to see some things. Tell me that's the twist. Tell me that's the twist. That her mother moved her to the States because she knew, I'm sure she knew, for one, I don't know what abortion laws are like in Japan, especially in the 80s, but I could guess goes to the States, probably a more progressive state, because she knows the stigma of having an abortion. There's probably a heavy stigma there in Japan, and obviously in certain areas of the States as well there's a heavy stigma, so I'm certain like she goes to this more progressive state. But even then she says she moves around a lot, which I don't know if that may not necessarily have anything to do with Catherine specifically. That could just be part of Ms. Winter's job, but the initial move to the States, I could definitely see that as a reason for it. It's like, okay, someone knocked up my daughter. More so, less about the whole thing is like Mrs. Winter's probably concerned about Catherine's image, her future, right? And like Catherine might have been bad about it, but Ms. Winter's probably thinking like I am, like I can't have my daughter just raising a child at 17, 16, however old they were. It was a year and a half ago, so it could have been, I think, 16, 17, something like that. Doesn't matter. As an underage teenager, I can't have my kid going through that. So I could definitely see Ms. Winters, and of course her connections. I mean, she works for the U.S. government, all right. Government officials, they always say one thing and do the other, right? So they're always getting away with shit behind the scenes. So I could definitely see that happening. But also, Nikolai, do you really think y'all were fit to be a family? This is what I never understood. These dudes get all emotional, like, oh, our child, we could have started a family. Do you really think you would have been much of a family? You, a teenager who's constantly skipping class, didn't have much of a future ahead of him. Your partner that you've known for like a year, from what I could tell, they'd only been together for like a year or so. You've known her for like a year. And like y'all don't really have a place, and like she has like a bright future ahead of her, but the whole child thing might fucking wear down, which I'm not saying is an excuse to terminate. If y'all want, if you can still pursue higher education and a bright future with all that, I'm not saying a kid's gonna drag that down. I'm not saying something like that, but like I think most people just don't think rationally about it. Like, and then people jump to adoption. It's like, oh, just adopt it out. Then it's like, is that really gonna work out well? Like, you're leaving this clearly non-Asian child alone in this Asian country, which once again not necessarily a bad thing. I'm sure there are non-Asian children up for adoption in Japan, just like there are non-American children up for adoption here in America. But not even that. It doesn't even matter about like what happens with the kid afterward. But it's like, why? Like, if you can avoid going through all the stress and fucking stuff. I can't think of the right words. All the shit that comes with being pregnant, all the negative effects that pregnancy has on your body at such a young age. Why go through that if you're not about that, right? Put it up for adoption, but why go through the effort, all that effort, and put the kid up for adoption and do that to yourself? And I know it comes back to the whole, well, it's about letting the kid live a life, and it's like, maybe things are better in Japan, but kid's not gonna have much of a life here in America, I'm just saying. Had I ever thought about our relationship in that context? Exactly. Why do you care if she was pregnant? If you've never thought, if you never even thought about your relationship far beyond that. Like I said, it would be another thing. I could understand his feelings if he'd been like, oh, one day I want to have a family and with Catherine. I want to be married to her and have this big, beautiful family and all that. Once again, I still say it comes down to Catherine's choice, but I could understand his feelings a bit more in that situation. But like he said, their relationship had gotten dull. It was just kind of a routine. Wake up, eat breakfast, school, date, sex. It was just part of the routine. Had he ever really thought about more than that? Naturally I had, but somewhere down the road. In a few years, 5 years, 10 years. Okay, so he's saying that he has had the thought, but he's like, he never expected it so suddenly. Which I understand that, sure. But still, clearly he hadn't given it any real thought. Right? He had thought, oh, someday in the future, when we're grown-ass adults, we'll start a family and be happy, right? But he'd never really given much thought to actually being a part of a family and raising a child and all the, work that comes with that. He'd never really given it much thought, which I think is what he was saying with the last line, how much thought. Yeah, had I ever thought about it, but how much thought had he really put into it, had he ever thought about it? Yes. Had he ever thought, I'm with this woman, one day we'll be married and have kids? I'm sure any person in, a committed relationship has had that thought, oh, one day, marriage and kids. Well, I mean, in a straight hetero relationship anyway. But, had he really given any thought to it? What would that situation look like? How would they handle it? That's the real thing. An indefinite period of time that could as well be an eternity. Exactly. But definitely not now. Try to imagine what would have happened if... Exactly, what would have happened? I let out a dull groan and fell into the bed. What if she had an abortion? Without even talking to me? Is that not what happened? Is that not what... Was I a cousin? 7th thrice removed or something? Once again... I don't feel like she really needed to discuss that with you. I'd say it's one thing if y'all had been together for a long time, y'all had a serious relationship, y'all, especially if y'all were married or engaged or something. Sure. But I mean, I can understand him being upset with never being told, right? Which that's probably was in the letter then. But, at the very least, something like, hey, got pregnant with your kid, I am going to abort it. I'm not saying he deserves a discussion, right? It didn't deserve to be talked about, what's his input? Not saying he deserved that. But, a notice, right? Hey, here's what happened. Since you were in a relationship, y'all were together, a little, that information, I'd say he deserved at least that much, right? With no right to make my voice heard and unworthy of being informed about the situation. Your voice doesn't matter, but I do think he deserved to be informed, right? I think he definitely deserves to be informed. His opinion doesn't fucking matter. He's not the one who's having the kid. He's not the one who gets to make the fucking choice. I clenched my fists so hard they hurt. If that was the case, I couldn't even imagine how I'd feel about Catherine now. Hatred? Pity? She had her own reasons. But what about me? What about our child? I convinced myself so firmly that she had an abortion that I was shaking in pointless anger. And technically, they didn't... Did Himitsu say something about an abortion? Did she say terminated? Or did the kid get put up for adoption? Oh no, the backlog doesn't go back near far enough. Okay. Alright. I'm pretty sure Himitsu said something about terminating it, though. Maybe I'm just misremembering something she said, but... But also, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but if she had had an abortion, you got no reason to be angry about that. You can feel upset that she didn't tell you about it, sure. But also, I think she tried to tell you about it through the letter. And like I even theorized before, it may have not even been her decision. But I know this was the 80s, the thought behind it wasn't, very few people were as progressive about it as they are nowadays, like myself. But ultimately, you're not the one that has to go through with it. I don't feel like that's, something you really deserved a dialogue with, right? Especially not the high school boyfriend. That's not something you really deserved a dialogue. That feeling, however, gave me some strength. I jumped off the bed and dashed to the hall. I quickly dialed her number. What if she was at home? Long beeps sonorously echoed in my head. Hello? Her mother picked up the phone. I wonder if she ever goes to work. Is Catherine home? I blurted out at once. Ah, Nikolai, I was just thinking about you. Is Catherine home? I interrupted her rudely. No, she's at school. Mrs. Winters didn't reply immediately, and I could hear bewilderment in her voice. Thank you. I hung up and ran to change my clothes.